the lights, they always go out eventually.
Some things, child, are beyond my control.
San Jose, 5 a.m. Fog hugs Market Street as Adrian Cole, a worn but brilliant AICEO, steps from a red-eye and freezes. On the curb sits a barefoot boy clutching a scuffed raspberry red robot keychain engraved A to M, Day 1. The concierge says he was told not to interfere. Adrian wraps the child in his hoodie, fury rising. Who decided a little boy belonged outside? Fog drapes Market Street and smudges the glass of the Smartloft Tower. Adrian Cole steps from a rideshare with a carry-on and a red-eye ache in his eyes. Gray cashmere hoodie, black tee, jeans, sneakers damp from the curb. He plans a shower, then pancakes with his son before sunrise. A small silhouette sits by the revolving door, bare feet on concrete, thin pajamas. A boy curled around a raspberry red robot keychain, the plastic scuffed, one eye rubbed away. The engraving catches the cold light. A2M, Day 1. Adrian's bag drops. "Max," he says, voice gone hoarse. The boy looks up, 6 years old, breath fogging. "Daddy?" He sounds like he's afraid the building will hear him and send him back out. Adrian kneels, pulls his hoodie over the small shoulders, zips it to the chin. Warmth rises between them, sharp with relief, edged with shame. "What are you doing out here, buddy?" Adrian asks, steady as he can. Max holds up the robot. "I waited like you said. He's brave." "I didn't say to wait outside," Adrian says, gentler than he feels. Inside the vestibule, the concierge freezes, keys in hand. When Adrian meets his eyes, the man steps forward and unlocks the inner door. "Mr. Cole, we were told not to interfere. Ms. Moore said the situation was controlled." Controlled. The word tastes like metal. Adrian tucks Max closer. "How long?" "An hour, maybe more. I'm sorry." "Thank you for unlocking the door," Adrian says. "Could you bring a towel and some hot cocoa to the lobby?" Max's feet are pink with cold, city grit on his shins. On the bench, Adrian sees faint oval shadows, as if fingers had pressed there. He touches the skin around them, 2 gentle fingers. "Does this hurt?" Max shakes his head, lip unsteady. "They said the lights had to be perfect." "The ring lights. I shouldn't cry on the live." "They?" Adrian asks, already knowing. "The people upstairs," Max whispers. "Kayla said a sitter ghosted. She said I should be brave like the robot until the brand shoot ends." That robot pulls another life into view, the garage years. Solder and coffee. A toddler on a crate while Adrian soldered LEDs, the two of them scratching A to M. Day 1 into the plastic with a penknife. Back when winning meant a working prototype and sleeping on the floor. Outside, traffic lights click through their colors with no cars to notice. Adrian's hands are steady, but he feels the old cost of ambition. The hours he traded, the flights he took because investors wanted him in 3 cities at once. All of it sits beside his son on a cold slab of concrete. "Who told you not to interfere?" he asks without heat. The concierge lowers his eyes. "Miss Moore. She said a child on camera would hurt the brand. I called upstairs twice." Adrian nods. "You can call once more," he says, gentler now. "Tell them the father is home." The concierge returns with a towel and cocoa. Max blows, sips, steadies. Adrian wraps the towel around his feet. The anger in his chest isn't wild, it's contained heat, a pilot light catching. "We're going upstairs," he says, lifting Max. The boy's hand grips the keychain, thumb tracing the shallow groove like a road he knows by heart. The elevator doors hush closed. Somewhere above, a bass line trembles the air, the sound of a party that forgot why a home exists. Floor numbers climb. Adrian keeps his voice low, for Max alone. "You did nothing wrong. You hear me?" "Nothing. I was brave," Max says. "Like the robot." "You were brave," Adrian says. Now I'll be brave for you. The doors open on the penthouse level. The hallway glows with spill from ring lights and a curl of laughter that doesn't belong to morning. Adrian shifts his grip, squares his shoulders, and steps forward. The fog presses against the glass outside, waiting for someone to draw a clear line. Adrian does. Inside the penthouse, the air feels wrong, heavy with bass thumping through Bluetooth speakers, sharp with the smell of spilt vodka and energy drinks. Ring lights wash the room in artificial glow, bleaching out the natural dawn still trapped behind fogged windows. Boxes of branded merch litter the floor, next to high heels kicked off mid-laugh. Max's arms cling tighter around Adrian's neck, his small face pressed into the hoodie. Adrian lowers him onto the kitchen counter, away from the tangle of strangers, and crouches so their eyes are level. "Stay right here." "I've got you." The boy nods, clutching the one-eyed robot to his chest. His lips tremble, but he doesn't cry. Adrian feels the weight of that silence like a stone. From the lounge, Kayla Moore emerges. Styled hair intact, phone. Still recording, her voice syrupy with practiced charm. "Adrian! You're home early." She waves toward a cluster of influencers who lounge on the sofa, still live-streaming to unseen followers. Surprise content drop. Everyone loves an authentic moment. He doesn't return the smile. "Authentic?" My son was barefoot on the curb. Kayla falters, then recovers with a laugh too sharp. "The sitter ghosted. I had no choice. The shoot was already paid for, and Max was outside." Adrian's tone slices clean, low enough that the room stills. One of the influencers shifts uncomfortably, muttering into their phone that maybe they should cut the stream. Kayla tosses her hair. "It was 1 hour. Don't overreact." A soft voice rises behind them. "It was more," Max says. He doesn't look at Kayla, only at the robot in his hands. "You said to wait until the ring light was done. I was brave." The words fracture the silence. Adrian steadies his son's gaze. "You never should have been told that." He turns, scanning the room. "Everyone out." Two half-dressed guests emerge from the upstairs media room, one wearing Adrian's limited edition Neuraforge team jacket like a prop. "Whoa, CEO vibe incoming," one sneers. Kayla said full experience collab. Skyline, tech genius, brand queen, no kid. Adrian's eyes sharpen. He doesn't raise his voice. "Take the jacket off. Leave it on the chair, then walk out that door." The man laughs until he sees Adrian isn't bluffing. The jacket drops. Shoes scrape against tile as they shuffle toward the exit. Kayla protests, her voice high and brittle. "Adrian, stop! You're ruining the campaign. These are investors' kids. We need this momentum." "We need a safe home," Adrian replies. His hand finds the small of Max's back, grounding him. Momentum doesn't raise a child. He grabs a bowl, stirs quick oatmeal with the last of the milk, sets it in front of Max. The boy eats in small, careful bites, like he's afraid the meal might be taken away. Adrian's chest aches at the sight. From his phone, he texts building security. "Preserve all hallway footage from tonight. Lock backup copies off-site." Kayla notices, her smile faltering. "Why are you doing that? This is private." "No," Adrian says. "This became public the moment my son was pushed outside to make space for strangers." One influencer mutters, "This isn't content anymore," and shuts off the live. The glow dims. One by one, the hangers-on gather their things, shuffling out into the hallway. Kayla glares, voice tight. "You don't understand the brand pressure I'm under." Adrian doesn't blink. No brand outweighs a child. Max finishes the last spoonful, the robot still clutched in his other hand. He looks up at his father with quiet trust, as if believing, for the first time tonight, that someone will actually stay. Adrian pulls the boy into his arms again. "You won't wait outside anymore," he murmurs. The thumping music cuts off. The apartment falls into a silence sharp enough to slice, but beneath it, Adrian feels the burn of fury hardening into resolve. This isn't over. Not by a long stretch. The fog outside has thinned, but inside Adrian's penthouse the air is heavier than ever. Max sits curled on the couch, his tiny knees drawn up, the robot keychain balanced in his palms like something sacred. Adrian lowers himself beside him, eyes drawn to the toy's scratched surface. The engraving, A to M, Day 1, slashes open a memory. The garage years. Wires, circuit boards, soldering fumes. A toddler perched on a milk crate, eyes wide as Adrian soldered a blinking LED. He had carved those letters into the casing with a knife, promising his son they would always build side by side. Back then, the toy was bright and whole. Now it mirrors Max. Battered, smudged, hanging on. Adrian turns the toy over in his hands, then studies his boy's face. Shadows ring Max's eyes and faint bruises stripe his shins. Finger-shaped. Evidence that someone had handled him carelessly. Adrian's stomach. Knots. "Who hurt you?" he asks softly. Max's shoulders tense. He shakes his head quickly, robot clutched tight. "I fell." On the rug. Adrian knows the difference between clumsy tumbles and deliberate marks. He lifts Max's chin gently, hazel eyes locking with wide brown ones. "You can tell me the truth. No one will be mad. Not with you." Max hesitates, eyes flicking toward the hallway where Kayla lingers with her phone in hand, her voice pitching sugar-sweet into whatever audience she still commands. "She said I make things harder, that if I cry on live, it ruins the numbers." Adrian exhales slow, steady. The denial he had carried, excuses, rationalizations, blind spots, all evaporates. This wasn't an accident. His child hadn't wandered outside. He had been made invisible. He places the robot gently into Max's lap. "No one gets to decide that you don't matter. Do you hear me? Not her. Not anyone." The boy nods, small and solemn, thumb stroking the robot's cracked eye. Kayla steps closer, irritation sharpening her features. "Adrian, you're being dramatic. Kids fall. Kids exaggerate. Don't start some crusade over a toy." The words snap something in him. "That toy," Adrian says evenly, "is more real than anything that happened in this room tonight." She laughs lightly, but it breaks halfway through. "You can't talk to me like that in front of my son," Adrian cuts in. His tone is still low, but every syllable lands like glass against tile. Max shifts closer, his shoulder pressing into Adrian's side. It's a small gesture, but it tightens Adrian's resolve like steel. The night isn't just about one moment of neglect, it's about a pattern. A pattern he has ignored because he wanted to believe things were fine, because building a company felt like enough. But tonight, with fog pressing against the windows and his son clutching a broken robot, the lie is too thin to hold. "Go to bed, Max," Adrian whispers. "I'll be right here when you wake up." The boy hesitates. "You promise?" Adrian leans close, forehead brushing his son's hair. "I promise. Day 1, remember?" Max smiles faintly, the first sign of light in his tired eyes. He pads off to his room, robot in hand. The door clicks shut. Adrian straightens, facing Kayla fully now. "Whatever this is," he gestures at the empty glasses, the ring lights, the scattering of branded merchandise, "it ends tonight." Her smirk hardens. "You think you can just undo everything?" "These are partnerships, Adrian. Opportunities. You're not the only one who gets to decide what happens in this house." His eyes sharpen. "No," he says quietly, "but I am the only one who decides what happens to my son." The hallway monitor light blinks, a reminder of preserved footage waiting below. Evidence. Proof. Adrian walks toward the kitchen, steady steps echoing across the marble floor. He isn't just a CEO building AI anymore. Tonight, he's a father reclaiming the only project that ever mattered. And somewhere in the shadows, he knows this confrontation is only the beginning. The penthouse has gone unnervingly still. The base is gone, the ring light's dark, but the silence has a pulse of its own. Adrian types a message to security, sealing off the night like a file. Preserve everything. Lock backups. No one erases what happened here. Footsteps creak on the staircase. Two strangers, half-dressed, shuffle down from the media room. One drapes Adrian's limited edition Neuraforge jacket across his shoulders like a trophy. The other carries a camera still blinking red. Adrian doesn't move, doesn't raise his voice. Take the jacket off. Put the camera on the table, then leave. The one with the jacket smirks. Kayla promised us the full package. Skyline, CEO vibe, lifestyle shoot. No kid ruining the frame. He tugs at the zipper, taunting. Guess you didn't know you were part of the content. The words ring like knives. Max's oatmeal spoon clinks against the bowl as he freezes, eyes darting between the men and his. Father. Adrian's gaze doesn't waver. You have 10 seconds, he says evenly. Jacket. Camera. Door. The man chuckles, but the sound falters when he sees Adrian hasn't blinked. He slides the jacket onto the chair, drops the camera beside it. The red light blinks off. They shuffle toward the door, muttering curses under their breath. Kayla bursts from the hallway, her tone pitched high and sharp. Adrian! They're here because of me. Do you know who they are? They're investors' kids. You just threw away a chance to... A chance to what? Adrian's voice cuts her short. Sell my son's childhood for a collab? Her cheeks flush with anger, her phone raised like a shield. Don't twist this. You know how hard I work to keep us relevant. One misstep, and you're yesterday's news. If Max can't handle the pressure, maybe he's not cut out for... Stop. Adrian's hand rises, steady as steel. You don't say his name like that. Not ever again. Max looks down, robot keychain turning in his fingers, the engraved letters catching the light. His small voice slips out, fragile, but clear. She said I should wait outside until the lights were done. I didn't want to ruin it. Adrian's chest burns. He crouches beside his son, lowering his voice. You didn't ruin anything. Do you hear me? You're the only thing that matters here. Kayla exhales a laugh, brittle and nervous. You're overreacting. Kids dramatize. You can't let a toy tell you what's true. Adrian lifts the robot from Max's lap, holds it in his palm. The scuffed surface, the one-eyed casing, the crude carving. A to M, day 1. A reminder of night soldering circuits with a toddler beside him. Proof of promises made. This toy, he says, voice quiet but razor-sharp, is more honest than anything that's been said in this room tonight. Kayla shifts, unsettled by the weight of his calm. So, what now? You're going to throw me out too? Adrian shakes his head. Not tonight. Tonight, I'm making sure my son eats, sleeps, and feels safe in his own home. Tomorrow, we'll deal with the rest. Max curls against him, oatmeal bowl empty, robot clutched tight. Adrian brushes a hand through his son's hair, the fury in him tempered by resolve. He texts security again. Flag tonight's footage for legal review. Call me at 7 a.m. for transfer protocols. Kayla scoffs, her voice climbing. Adrian, you can't go nuclear every time you're uncomfortable. You'll burn this whole brand to the ground. He meets her eyes, steady and unflinching. Then let it burn. Max presses closer, whispering, Daddy, don't leave me again. Adrian bends low, pressing his forehead to his son's. I won't, he says. Not anymore. Day 1. Remember? The boy nods, his grip on the robot unyielding. Adrian rises, shoulders squared, gaze fixed on the woman who thought a child could be erased. His voice is low, final. This house just changed. Starting now. Morning light seeps through the fogged glass, pale and tired. The penthouse is quiet now, but Adrian doesn't. Trust the quiet. He carries Max back to bed, tucks the blanket to his chin, and waits until the boy's breathing deepens. The robot keychain stays locked in Max's hand, as if it's the only anchor he trusts. Adrian steps out into the living room. Kayla is slumped on the sofa, scrolling through her phone, lips pressed thin. Her eyes flick up when the doorbell chimes. Adrian opens it. A woman stands there. Mid-40s, tidy cardigan, a satchel hanging from her shoulder. Asha Patel. She doesn't smile. "You called. I came." Adrian exhales a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "Thank you." Kayla snaps upright. "What is she doing here?" "She quit. She left us hanging." "No," Asha interrupts, her voice calm but edged. "I left because I refused to stand by while your son was treated like a prop." She turns to Adrian. "I kept records. I thought one day you'd need to see." She opens the satchel and sets a tablet on the counter. A gallery fills the screen. Photos, time-stamped logs, short videos, clips Max standing alone in hallways, crying on the balcony while music blared inside. Voice memos with Kayla's sharp tone captured in the background. Adrian clicks one. Kayla's voice unmistakable. If he cries during a live stream, he waits outside. Brand first. "You coddle him too much, Asha." The sound guts him. He grips the counter edge until his knuckles pale. Kayla's face drains of color. "That's taken out of context. You know how editing works? She's just bitter. Context doesn't put bruises on a child's legs," Asha says, eyes steady. "Or leave him barefoot in the fog." Adrian swipes to another entry. An access log screenshot. Doors locking, timestamps lining up with the photos. One entry marked in Asha's notes. Max put outside during collab shoot. Concierge told to ignore. His throat burns. For a moment he closes his eyes, seeing his son on the curb again. Robot clenched in frozen fingers. When he speaks, his voice is steady, surgical. "How long has this been happening?" "Since the brand took off," Asha says. "More and more events, more excuses. I filed reports with timestamps in case light was ever needed." Her eyes soften. "I'm sorry, Adrian." "I thought you knew." Adrian shakes his head, shame flooding in. "I should have." Kayla slams her phone on the counter. "This is ridiculous." She's staging a witch hunt because she lost her job. "Are you really going to believe her over me?" Adrian doesn't answer. He looks instead at the evidence, at the clear timeline that matches what Max whispered last night. The robot keychain had told him the truth. Asha's ledger now confirms it. He turns to her, gratitude in his eyes. "You did the right thing keeping this." "I did it for Max," Asha says quietly. "Someone had to." Kayla crosses her arms, defiant. "So what? You'll blow up everything over a few bruises? You'll ruin us both with drama. Do you even know what the headlines will say?" Adrian lifts the tablet, sets it down with care. "The headlines don't matter. My son does." The silence stretches, heavy and undeniable. He glances toward Max's room, where the faint hum of a nightlight filters through the door. The boy who thought he had to be invisible, now finally seen. Adrian squares his shoulders. "This ends today." All of it. Adrian doesn't sleep. He sits at the kitchen island, hands clasped, Asha's digital journal glowing beside him. Every photo, every memo, every timestamp sharpens into a knife edge he can't ignore. Just past 8, Kayla's phone buzzes against the counter, the name flashing on the screen. Bright Path Behavioral. Adrian's gut twists. He swipes before she can reach it, pressing speaker. A calm voice fills the air. "Ms. Moore, this is intake confirming Max Cole's guardian consent for today's 9:30 appointment. Our transport team is en route." Adrian freezes. Asha gasps. Kayla lunges, but he holds the phone out of reach. "This is Adrian Cole," he says, voice low and deliberate. "I revoke any consent. I'm his father, the intake worker pauses. "Our file lists Kayla Moore as guardian of record, signed and notarized. She filed temporary guardianship during your Tokyo travel. The case notes describe oppositional behavior requiring intervention." Adrian cuts him off. "There is no oppositional behavior. There's a 6-year-old boy being erased for convenience." His jaw clenches. "Cancel the transport. Immediately." The worker hesitates, protocol bound. "Sir, without legal amendment." Adrian ends the call, throat tight. His gaze swings to Kayla. "Temporary guardianship? You forged this while I was pitching investors halfway across the world?" Kayla straightens, eyes gleaming with defiance. "Not forged." Devin signed off. "We needed stability while you jet set around the globe. The clinic's reputable. He'd get structure, therapy, branding support." "Branding support," Adrian repeats, the words dripping disbelief. "You were going to label him broken so you could work uninterrupted." She doesn't flinch. He doesn't. "Fit the image, Adrian. Always clinging, always in the way. Do you want your shareholders whispering about instability? Do you want competitors sniffing weakness?" Adrian rises, heat radiating off him. "He's not instability. He's my son." Asha places a hand on the counter, her voice calm but firm. "Adrian, Bright Path has been under scrutiny. Transport vans come with consent forms, but families have complained kids disappeared for weeks before being released. Once he's taken, you'll fight shadows to bring him back." The words ice Adrian's blood. His mind flashes to Max on the curb, shivering, robot keychain pressed to his chest. He imagines that same small hand clutching the toy in the back of an unmarked van, eyes wide, wondering why his father didn't stop it. Kayla's voice slices through. "This is what risk management looks like. If Max can't adapt, the clinic adjusts him. Devin agrees. We all agreed you couldn't see it." Adrian turns slowly, fury blazing, but contained. "You all agreed to erase my child behind my back." The door buzzer jolts the air. Asha checks the monitor. 2 men in soft polos, clipboards in hand, rehearsed smiles plastered on their faces. "They're early," Asha whispers. Adrian squares his shoulders, body blocking the doorway as he strides forward. Max's bedroom door creaks open behind him, the boy clutching the robot, eyes wide with confusion. Adrian holds up a hand. "Stay back, Max." Then, to the men at the door, "Consent revoked. I'm the parent." The taller one consults his clipboard, unfazed. "According to records, Ms. Moore is guardian of record. We have authorization." Kayla steps forward, lips curved in triumph. "It's fine." He's ready. "Take him." Adrian plants his palm against the doorframe. "Over my dead body." The concierge appears down the hall, uncertain, torn between orders. Adrian calls out without looking away from the men. "Check the security logs from last night, preserve them. Call Detective Alvarez. Tell him Adrian Cole is invoking guardianship fraud." The men exchange glances, their practiced calm slipping. Adrian's voice sharpens to a blade. "You try to step past me, you walk into a felony. Your paperwork won't hold by morning." Max clutches the robot tighter, eyes on his father. His whisper carries like a vow. "Daddy's brave now." Adrian doesn't blink. "Always," he murmurs back. And, as the fog outside lifts into pale sunlight, the battle lines inside the loft are drawn. The men with clipboards hesitate at the threshold. Their rehearsed smiles twitch, but they don't step back. "Sir, we're contracted." "Ms. Moore has authority." "No," Adrian says, his voice low and immovable. "She doesn't. I'm his father. And unless you want the San Jose PD knocking on your clinic's door in an hour, you'll walk away now." The concierge lingers near the elevator, phone pressed to his ear. "Mr. Cole," he calls nervously. Detective Alvarez is on the line. He says he'll meet you in 30 minutes. Should I patch him through, Drian? Doesn't take his eyes off the men. Put him on speaker. A crackle, then a familiar voice. Adrian, what's happening? Attempted transport without parental consent, Adrian answers. Guardian fraud on file. I want you to log this call and pull every building security log from last night. 2 Bright Path contractors are standing in my doorway right now. The men pale. One clears his throat. Sir, we'll withdraw until documentation is clarified. You'll do more than withdraw, Adrian says. You'll sign that you attempted removal under fraudulent authority, or I'll let Detective Alvarez walk you out in cuffs. Kayla pushes forward, voice shrill. This is insane! You're sabotaging everything. Devin said. The service elevator dings. A leather folio snaps shut. Out steps Devin Cross, CFO of Neuraforge, Adrian's college friend, the man who once slept on his couch during their first funding round. He's calm, almost casual, suit jacket slung over one arm. Adrian, he says smoothly, let's lower the temperature. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Adrian's chest tightens. You signed this? Devin doesn't flinch. Temporary guardianship. Notarized. Risk management. The board can't afford a story about a distracted CEO, not with Series F on the horizon. Kayla needed stability. The clinic provides structure. It's not personal, it's corporate. Adrian stares, disbelief flooding into rage. Not personal? You used my son like a line item. Devin opens the folio, sliding out documents stamped and sealed. You've built an empire, Adrian. Investors trust you because we control the narrative. If they sense instability, custody disputes, emotional breakdowns, valuation tanks. This protects the company. It protects you. Asha steps between them, voice steel. This protects the brand, not the child. I kept every memo, every timestamp, every bruise. You knew, Devin. You looked away. Devin's eyes flicker, but his tone stays cool. I acted in the best interest of Neuraforge. Sometimes sacrifices are... Stop. Adrian's voice is ice. The only sacrifice here was a 6-year-old boy's safety. Max edges forward, robot clutched to his chest. Daddy? Is he still your friend? Adrian swallows hard, eyes on Devin. Not anymore. The clipboard men retreat into the elevator, muttering apologies, their confidence gone. Devin doesn't move, though. He adjusts his glasses, lips curved in something like pity. Don't make this bigger than it needs to be. Handle it quietly, keep the board calm, and we can all walk away with reputations intact. Adrian bends to Max, voice tender. Go to your room, buddy. Keep the door closed. I'll come in soon. Max nods, whispering, brave, before slipping down the hall. Adrian straightens, turning back to the man he once trusted with payroll and his dreams. You've mistaken me, Devin. I don't care about reputations tonight. I care about my son. For the first time, Devin falters. His jaw tightens. Adrian points to the door. Leave. Now, before Detective Alvarez makes this official, silence grips the room, heavy as the fog outside. Devin closes the folio, expression unreadable. You'll regret this, he murmurs, then walks toward the service elevator without looking back. The doors close. Adrian exhales, fury tempered by something colder. Resolve. This is no longer just betrayal at home. It's rot in the company he built. And if they thought he would protect his brand over his child, they never really knew him at all. The service elevator doors shut with a metallic thud, leaving a silence that throbs like a wound. Adrian stands motionless for a beat, Max's faint footsteps echoing from down the hall. The boy is safe, for now, but the betrayal still hangs heavy in the air. Asha places the tablet back on the counter. Adrian, you can't wait. Devin won't stop. He's woven too deep into your company. You're bored. If he thought selling out Max was acceptable, imagine what else he's buried. Adrian nods slowly, fury simmering beneath the surface. They think they can turn my son into collateral damage. They think I'll play along to protect valuation. His voice hardens. They're wrong. He picks up his phone and scrolls. One by one, he dials names that carry weight. Neuroforge's independent directors, the spouses of key investors, the condo board's counsel. His words are measured, precise. We need an emergency call. 8 a.m. Pacific. Family court petition in progress. Materials in circulation. I'll explain fully then. Preserve discretion until daylight. Kayla hisses from the sofa, arms crossed tight. You're insane. Do you know what you've just triggered? Investors hate family drama. You'll sink everything you've built. Adrian looks at her calmly. Better I sink a company than abandon my son. But it won't sink. Not if I shine light on all of it. The words strike her harder than anger would have. She falters, for once unable to conjure another rehearsed line. Asha scrolls through her digital journal, compiling a clean packet. The records are clear. Photos, voice clips, timestamps, and Devin's notary stamp on that guardianship file ties him directly. If the board sees this, they won't be able to spin it. Adrian leans against the counter, rubbing his temples. Exhaustion creeps at the edges of his focus, but the image of Max barefoot on the curb burns like fuel. By morning, the people who matter most will know the truth. Not Kayla's followers, not Devin's spreadsheets. The truth. The ring lights upstairs flicker where they'd been left. Cables tangled, props scattered. The influencer clique has already scattered into the night, their presence reduced to trash on the floor. Adrian walks through the mess, his steps steady. He pulls cords, shuts off power, and with every click, the penthouse grows darker, quieter, truer. From the hall, Max's small voice calls, "Daddy?" Adrian steps into the boy's doorway. Max is sitting cross-legged on the bed, robot pressed to his chest, eyes wide. Is it over? Adrian kneels beside him, brushing damp hair from his forehead. Not yet, he admits, but I promise you this. Tomorrow morning, everything changes. Max studies him, searching. For us? Adrian's throat tightens. For us. Day one, again, buddy. The boy's lips curl into the faintest smile, fragile but real. He tucks the robot into the blanket beside him like a guardian. Adrian stays until his son's eyelids flutter closed, until his breathing evens out. Then Adrian rises. In the kitchen, Asha is still at work, her quiet diligence a lifeline. He places a hand on her shoulder. Thank you for not giving up on him. Her eyes soften. You're his father. Now it's your turn not to give up. Adrian straightens, his silhouette framed against the glass wall where the fog begins to lift, city lights blurring into dawn. His jaw sets, his voice barely above a whisper. I won't. He picks up his phone again, scrolling to one last contact. Alvarez. Detective, he says when the line clicks open. Be ready. At 8, I'll have everything. Tonight was personal. Tomorrow, it becomes public. The detective's voice is steady. I'll be there. Adrian ends the call and stares at the skyline. What began as a father finding his son in the fog is about to become a reckoning. The fog outside thins to a gray veil, and with it comes the first burn of daylight. Adrian hasn't slept. He's still in his hoodie, laptop open. Asha's files spread across the counter like pieces of a broken map. Every timestamp, every memo, every bruise tells the same story. A child treated like clutter. At 7:55, his phone buzzes. The directors are joining the emergency call. Asha sits beside him, tablet in hand, her eyes steady. Once you share this, there's no taking it back, she warns softly. Good, Adrian says. No more shadows. He clicks the link. Faces populate the screen. Neuroforge's independent directors, the condo board's counsel, even spouses of key investors. They look rumpled, blinds, drawn against early light, but their attention sharpens when Adrian begins. My son was left outside my building last night while a brand shoot raged upstairs, he says, voice steady. That wasn't neglect. It was systemic. Documents signed behind my back. A clinic transport ordered without consent. All notarized by my CFO. Gasps ripple. One director leans forward. Do you have proof? Adrian nods to Asha. She shares her screen. Photos, logs, audio clips. Kayla's voice hisses through the speakers. If he cries during a live stream, he waits outside. Brand first. Several spouses cover their mouths. One whispers, My God. And this, Adrian continues, holding up the guardianship file, Devon's notary stamp glaring. A fraudulent attempt to erase a child. All in the name of corporate image. Kayla barges into frame, hair disheveled but defiant. Don't believe this performance. Adrian's spinning family drama to cover instability. Devon did what had to be done. Enough, a director snaps. We're not investors in your live stream, Ms. Moore. This is a child's welfare. Kayla flushes red, but before she can reply, the condo board's attorney clears her throat. Mr. Cole, I've reviewed the logs. We can file an emergency petition within the hour. The court will want evidence. It's already on their desks, Adrian says. He glances at the clock. In 3 minutes, a clerk will walk sealed packets into the family court chambers downtown. Judges, counsel, investors, partners. Everyone who needs to see this will. Silence fills the call, heavy. Then one of the directors, a woman known for cutting through noise, speaks. Adrian, you've just turned the lights on. No one can pretend this is invisible anymore. Kayla stammers, scrambling. You're destroying us. Don't you see? The brand, the valuation. Adrian's voice cuts through her panic. Brands can be rebuilt. Valuations recover. But a child told to wait outside in the fog? That doesn't heal on its own. My son deserves better than a life bargained for clicks. He ends the call before she can answer, the screen going black. The condo is still. Asha exhales. That was decisive. Adrian rubs his temples, exhausted but resolute. Now we wait for the courthouse to move. From down the hall, Max emerges, rubbing his eyes, robot keychain dangling from his hand. Daddy? Is it morning? Adrian scoops him into his arms. Yeah, buddy. Morning. And today we make sure you never wait outside again. The boy nestles into his chest, whispering, brave, like the robot. Adrian kisses the top of his head. No, he says softly, braver. The doorbell buzzes again, sharper this time. Adrian stiffens. Asha checks the camera. A courier holds a packet of stamped documents. From the court, she says, relief breaking across her face. Adrian takes the envelope, weight heavy in his palm, but hope beginning to glow at its edges. The battle is far from over, but the tide has turned. The courthouse steps gleam damp from the early fog, the air alive with murmurs of traffic and echoing heels. Adrian strides forward with Max's hand tucked firmly in his own. Asha on the other side balancing a satchel of evidence. His hoodie is swapped for a blazer, but the exhaustion etched on his face speaks louder than any wardrobe change. Reporters hover by the doors, cameras angled, their curiosity sharp. Adrian keeps his eyes ahead, shielding Max with his body. Asha whispers, remember, we hand the packets directly to the clerks first, then to the partners. It forces daylight. Inside, the courthouse hums with quiet chaos, paper shuffles, hushed conversations, the metallic beep of security gates. Adrian approaches the clerk's desk, sliding across a sealed packet stamped and notarized. Evidence of fraudulent guardianship and attempted unlawful transport, he states. The clerk's eyes widen. She flags a judge's assistant immediately. One by one, copies of Asha's timeline, audio clips, and access logs are placed in careful hands. Each face that scans them shifts from neutrality to shock. Adrian watches silently, jaw tight, fury banked into purpose. The heavy double doors swing open. Kayla enters, flanked by her attorney, sunglasses oversized, jaw set like granite. Behind them, Devin hovers, folio tucked under his arm, lips curved in a PR smile. Kayla spots Adrian and Max. Her smile flickers. "You're dragging him into this circus?" she snaps, voice echoing. "You want him on camera, in the headlines? Hypocrite." Adrian's reply is quiet, controlled. "He's here because he deserves to be seen." A bailiff ushers them into a side chamber. The judge, gray-haired and deliberate, studies the first page of documents. His gaze sharpens as he flips through the timestamps, the audio transcripts. "This is substantial," he says at last. His eyes lift to Adrian. "You claim sole custody, pending a hearing?" "I claim protection," Adrian answers. His hand squeezes Max's. "My son was targeted for removal without my consent. These records show intent. This is not parental discretion, it's endangerment." Kayla's attorney interjects smoothly. "Your Honor, these files are biased, compiled by a disgruntled ex-employee. My client acted in good faith, securing behavioral support for a struggling child. Any bruises were incidental, any neglect exaggerated." The judge raises an eyebrow. "And the notarized guardianship signed by Mr. Cross? With no father's signature, despite legal paternity?" Devin clears his throat, stepping forward. "It was a precaution. Risk management, to ensure Neuraforge's stability. We couldn't afford the distraction of—" The judge cuts him off, voice stern. "This is a courtroom, Mr. Cross, not a boardroom." Children are not distractions. The air stills. Kayla's mask cracks, desperation bleeding through. "You don't understand. Our brand depends on—" "Sit down," the judge orders. His gavel raps once, sharp as thunder. "Effective immediately, temporary sole custody is granted to Mr. Cole. Right Path Behavioral is ordered to stand down, pending investigation." Kayla's mouth opens, but no sound comes. Devin's knuckles whiten around his folio. Adrian exhales, shoulders sagging with relief. He kneels, pulling Max close. "Hear that, buddy? You're staying with me." Max clutches the robot keychain, thumb tracing the letters. "Home?" he asks softly. "Home," Adrian promises, voice breaking just enough for Asha to look away, giving him privacy. As they leave the chamber, whispers ripple behind them. Counselors, investors' spouses, clerks with wide eyes. The truth has taken root. Outside, the fog is lifting, the sun breaking through at last. Adrian lifts Max into his arms, the boy's head resting against his shoulder. For the first time in months, maybe years, the word future doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like a path. The courthouse plaza hums with tension. Journalists circling like gulls. Microphones stretched toward Adrian as he steps into the sunlight. He shields Max with his blazer, moving quickly, toward the curb where Asha signals for a rideshare. Cameras flash anyway. "Mr. Cole, did you really accuse your own CFO of fraud?" one reporter shouts. "Is Bright Path under investigation?" Another presses. Adrian says nothing, jaw set. But the packet's already delivered, to judges, to investors' spouses, to the condo board, speak louder than any statement he could give. The silence is its own declaration. Daylight has come. In the car, Max curls into his father's side, robot keychain pressed to his cheek. "Daddy, are we safe now?" Adrian kisses his hair. "We're safer today than yesterday. That's what matters." Asha scrolls her phone. Notifications explode. Compliance tip line pings, internal audits flagged, messages from staff whispering about financial discrepancies linked to Devon. She leans closer. The network's unraveling already. Look. She shows him an email chain from finance, routing instructions, shell accounts tied to something labeled EL Trust. Transfers spiking on nights. Kayla hosted brand events. The numbers add up to millions. Adrian exhales. So, this wasn't just about Max. They built an entire pipeline on deceit. His phone vibrates. Alvarez's voice cuts in, measured but firm. State investigators opening inquiries. Fraud and child endangerment. Bright Path is pulling their contractors until the paperwork smoke clears. And Adrian, the board's spouses are furious. They won't let this stay quiet. Adrian closes his eyes briefly, exhaustion and relief colliding. Thank you, Detective. The car glides through San Jose streets, neon signs giving way to morning traffic. Asha looks out the window, then back at him. What now? He looks down at Max, asleep against his chest, the robot keychain clutched tight. The cracked plastic catches the light, a reminder of promises almost lost. Now I rebuild, Adrian says quietly, but not as a CEO first. As his father. Back at the loft, the penthouse feels haunted, every glass and cable a ghost of what nearly happened. Adrian refuses to let Max step inside. Instead, he takes him 2 floors below, to a quieter unit the building keeps for guests. Smaller, humbler, but silent, safe. He sets Max on the couch and plugs in a small 3D printer he'd kept boxed for months. Together, they solder a fresh LED into the old robot keychain. Max's eyes glow when it blinks red again. Adrian slides a new chassis across the table, engraved, Safe at Home. It means you never wait outside again, Adrian tells him. Max smiles, small but steady, and whispers, Promise? Adrian pulls him close. Promise. Day 1. All over again. Later, while Max naps in the new bed, Adrian drafts a new company policy. No travel longer than 72 hours without documented family coverage. A second line. Creation of a micro-grant for emergency childcare and whistleblower legal aid. He titles it the Day 1 Policy. He sends it to HR, then closes the laptop. His hands tremble, not from fear, but from clarity. When Kayla's fob pings, at the building entrance the system denies her. The board has already suspended her access. Devon's devices are being imaged. His accounts frozen. The fallout has begun. Adrian watches his son breathe, one hand still curled around the glowing robot. For the first time in years, he feels the ground beneath him, solid and unshakable. And he knows. The skyline may have been built on code and capital, but the future he fights for is built right here, on the couch where his son finally sleeps in peace. The day after court, the penthouse is unrecognizable. Security has sealed it off, cables coiled into evidence bags, ring lights unplugged and carted away. Cleaning crews move through in silence, scrubbing away glitter, spilled liquor, and the last traces of a life that had been staged for cameras instead of lived for family. Adrian doesn't linger upstairs. He stays in the smaller loft 2 floors down, where Max sleeps soundly in a bed tucked against a window that faces morning light instead of the city skyline. The boy's robot keychain rests on the nightstand, its freshly soldered LED blinking faintly like a night watchman. Asha joins Adrian in the kitchen, coffee mugs between them. She sets her tablet on the counter, pulling up reports. The compliance tip line hasn't stopped. Employees are flagging shell transfers linked to Devon. Finance caught patterns. Money routed through layers every time Kayla threw one of those parties. The name attached keeps repeating. E.L. Trust. Adrian frowns. E.L. Trust? Asha nods. Enough zeros to bury a college fund, but the documentation reads like it was pitched as something noble, an education legacy. Adrian's chest tightens. He remembers what Max whispered last night, the confusion in his eyes. Il, Crest is my name, right? M for Max? He scrolls through the audio logs again. Kayla's voice drifts out. Dad, the clinic is ready. If Adrian balks, Devin will say funds were set aside for El Crest. EL, education legacy. Adrian slams the id. Laptop shut, his jaw locking. They turned my son's name into a shell company. They were ready to trade him off like an asset. Asha's eyes flash with anger. You need to take this higher. Not just the board, the state, the regulators. His phone buzzes. Alvarez again. Adrian, I've got investigators confirming BrightPath's involvement with private shells tied to Neuroforge accounts. Devin's at the center. Kayla's access has been revoked. She's under inquiry for guardianship fraud. The DA wants a meeting. Adrian exhales slowly, his fury tempered by grim relief. I'll be there. That afternoon, he drafts a statement, not for the press, not for investors, but for his own company. A memo addressed to every employee at Neuroforge. We were built on trust. Trust in ideas, in each other, in the belief that intelligence, artificial or human, should never erase dignity. Yesterday, that trust was broken in my home. It will not happen in our company. Effective immediately. Devin Cross is on leave, pending investigation. All funds tied to EL Trust are frozen. An external ombuds program begins this week, and a day one policy is in effect. No project, no pitch, no profit outweighs the safety of a child or the truth of a family. He hits send. By evening, replies pour in. Some cautious, some shocked, but many grateful. Employees thanking him for naming what others had only whispered. Max stirs awake after his nap, wandering into the kitchen in pajamas, hair sticking up. Daddy, can we check the robot? Adrian kneels, flicks the tiny switch. The LED blinks red, brighter now. Max grins and claps softly. Safe at home, he says, repeating the words etched in the chassis. Adrian gathers him close. Safe at home, he echoes, voice breaking but full of resolve. Outside, the city lights rise as night falls, but inside the small loft there is no pretense, no brand. Only a father and son soldering light back into something broken. For Adrian, it's more than repair. It's rebuilding, brick by brick, promise by promise. And for Max, it's proof that this time, day one means forever. The days that follow are quieter, but quiet doesn't mean easy. Adrian keeps Max in the smaller loft, 2 floors below the penthouse where the air feels clean and unburdened. The boy has started sleeping through the night again, his robot keychain glowing faintly on the nightstand like a heartbeat. Adrian spends his mornings not in boardrooms, but at the kitchen table with Max. They eat cereal together, build Lego towers, and test tiny circuits on the 3D printer. The sound of Max's laughter, hesitant at first, then freer, fills the space like music. One evening, Adrian pulls out a fresh 3D printed chassis. He slides the repaired robot keychain inside, engraving a new set of words across its back. Safe at home. When he hands it to Max, the boy runs his thumb over the letters, smiling. This means you don't leave me again, right? Max whispers. Adrian pulls him into his arms. That's exactly what it means. I'm here. Always. Still, the outside world presses in. Devin's name surfaces in headlines tied to fraud investigations. Kayla's access to the building is revoked, her lawyer now fielding questions about guardianship fraud and child endangerment. But Adrian refuses to let his son's life be defined by scandal. Instead, he creates something new, a micro-grant at Neuroforge dedicated to emergency childcare and whistleblower legal aid. He calls it the Day One Fund, modeled after what Asha risked to keep records safe. In a company-wide meeting, Adrian stands not as a polished CEO, but as a father. Day one was when I promised my son he'd never be invisible, he tells them. That promise belongs here too, to every parent who feels they can't choose family without risking their career, to every employee afraid to speak up. We protect each other, or we build nothing. The words ripple through the team. Some nod, some wipe their eyes, and Adrian knows something has shifted. Nura Forge isn't just code anymore. It's people. That night, back in the loft, Max curls against him on the couch, robot clutched to his chest. "Daddy," he murmurs, "what does brave mean?" Adrian brushes a hand through his son's hair. Brave means telling the truth, even when it scares you. Brave means staying, even when it's hard. And brave means building again, even after something breaks. Max nods, eyes drooping. Then we're both brave. Adrian kisses his forehead. We are. Day one, remember? The boy drifts to sleep, his small breath steady, the robot's light blinking in rhythm. Adrian holds him close, realizing the truth. Rebuilding doesn't start with companies, or policies, or courtrooms. It starts right here, with a father keeping his promise. Tomorrow, there will be hearings, investigators, headlines. But tonight, there's only the quiet weight of his son in his arms, the smell of solder and cocoa, and the knowledge that Max is finally safe. For the first time in years, Adrian allows himself to breathe. Not as a CEO managing crises, but as a father keeping faith. The morning of the custody hearing arrives crisp and clear. The last of the valley fog burned away by sunlight. Adrian dresses simply. Navy blazer, open collar, nothing to hide behind. Max clutches his repaired robot keychain, the words "safe at home" glowing faintly as they step into the courthouse together. Inside, the atmosphere is electric. Judges review files, clerks move briskly, and reporters linger by the marble steps. Asha walks beside them, her satchel heavy with the digital ledger she refused to bury. Kayla is already there, seated with her attorney. Her face is pale, but her eyes sharp, searching for sympathy that no longer comes. Devin sits further back, expression flat, a notary stamp tucked useless in his folio. The weight of investigations hangs over him like a storm cloud. The judge calls the room to order. Adrian rises, Asha by his side. He lays the evidence on the table, timestamps, photos, audio clips, and transport orders. One by one, the judge examines them, his brow furrowing deeper with each page. Kayla's attorney tries to spin the story. My client acted in good faith, securing behavioral help for a child in need. The judge slams his gavel once. This is not behavioral support. This is fraudulent guardianship and attempted unlawful transport. Children are not brands. They are not assets. Kayla sinks into her chair, her hands trembling. Devin's jaw tightens, the mask of confidence cracking. The ruling is swift. Temporary custody becomes permanent. Kayla faces charges for fraud and endangerment. Devin is indicted on fraud and conspiracy, the shell accounts tied to EL Trust now evidence in a widening case. Adrian exhales, shoulders lowering with a relief so profound it nearly buckles him. He turns to Max, kneeling to meet his eyes. It's official now, buddy. You're with me. Always. Max clutches the robot tight, whispering, Day one, Daddy. When it's over, they climb to the roof garden of the smaller loft, the city stretched out below like a promise reclaimed. Adrienne hands Max a tray of marigold seedlings, their roots damp and ready for soil. Together, they press them into a cedar planter, their hands dirty, their laughter breaking through like sunlight after storm. Max ties the robot keychain to the trellis. The LED blinks once, catching the sunrise. The toy that once symbolized invisibility now hangs high, a beacon of survival and love. Adrian leans back, breathing in the scent of soil and flowers. He looks at his son, hair messy, eyes bright, hands smudged with earth, and feels something deeper than victory. He feels home. The skyline is the same, but it means something different now. Not ambition, not valuation, not content. It means light. Light that stays once it's invited in. And as Max leans against him, small hand slipping into his, Adrian whispers, "This is our forever. Day 1, for the rest of our lives." The boy nods, smiling, and the sunrise glows brighter still.